Hello, and how are you doing today? I hope this finds you very well. My name is Kat, if you've not been here before. If you're back again, it's lovely to see you. Up front, I have another ailment. I have a sore neck today. I don't quite know what I've done, but it's causing me some grief, and I'm using my unarmoured defence cowl to keep my neck warm, to try and sort of protect it a little bit, if you will. Yeah, I've got some projects to share with you, some old ones that haven't been seen for a while and some new ones. I actually have even more, and I've got a little bit of processing to do on those before I share them. But yeah, I don't know, I feel a bit dazed. This is the first time I've managed to record. Maybe this is like too tangential, but this is the first time I've kind of recorded at the time I usually would previously, so it feels like incredibly right, but also a little bit weird. I'm a bit out of sorts. I've got myself a cup of coffee today. It is a decaf. It's very lightly, I use very small amount to do an AeroPress. Just a little gentle kick. I don't think I need to be pushed into too much chaos today. And yeah, let's just talk about some knitting and spinning, I guess. Okay, I am wearing my ranunculus, one of them. This one used Whistlebear yarn, which is one of my favourite yarns of all time. It used both the Yvering Bell and the Cheviot Marsh on their 4-ply base, so you get like 350 metres. I didn't use very much yarn at all for this, and I just love it. I think the colours are cherry mallow and something else, but either way I really like this version. I went down a needle size or two to make it fit me a little bit closer. There's a little bit less ease, especially in the sleeves. I did a sort of slightly shorter than bracelet length sleeve on this. I don't always like to have long sleeves. I'm quite active and, you know, washing up, etc, etc. I really like the length, and also I'm trying not to only wear black when I film because of how ghostly it makes me look, and hopefully this is a little bit better, even though I've literally surrounded my face with almost, you know, black. But anyway, I'm also wearing my unarmoured defence cowl, like I said, in the Magnus DK base from Orkney and Gora, I believe. It's in the loop, like a loop edition colourway. I think it's called like London at night or London in the evening, something like that. But it's super soft, and I wear this loads in the winter, especially under layers. That's one of my favourite things. And I also found my black mohair hat, which has made me very, very happy lately. Yeah, I'm really pleased to have it back in my life. I've spoken about 1x1 rib hats loads in the past few episodes, including like sharing my kind of recipe, if you will. So I'm not going to talk about it, but it's a 1x1 ribbed hat knit with a fingering weight black 4-ply yarn and a lace weight silk mohair. I'm also wearing tracky bees because that's the kind of day we're having today. We are going to be at home. We're going to be nursing the neck, and we're going to be probably at the computer, and I was just vibing a cozy comfy day, you know, like really just cozy comfy, nothing tight fitting, nothing that will hinder any movement, not that I can move properly, but anyway, okay. I'm so happy with this. This is the Cherry, actually by Midori Hirose as well. I didn't intend on that happening. This is a top-down top jumper. I knitted this using 2 lace weight kid silk mohair bases. The purple, the main colour, is the man with the big purple hand from Chromatic Yarns. It was a club colourway. I don't know if Hannah will dye any more of it, but I love it. I think she did such a great job with this colourway. and from Hannah it's called Fluffy Lace. That is the base. And then the contrast colour, the bright pink, is from Ginger Twist Studios, who's a lovely, lovely a local yarn shop owner based in Edinburgh. They've recently moved to a slightly larger store, which is very exciting. Shop, weird. And this colourway is called Design of a Decade, which was Jess's 10-year anniversary sort of celebration colour on the leading lace base. And yeah, Ginger's hand dyed. I love these yarns, but let's talk about the top itself. I've knitted 3 previously. I felted the first one I knitted, which is such a shame because it was my first hand-dyed mohair project, and it was really quite beautiful. It was like a duck egg bluey grey colour. And I've knitted a black version with a kind of variegated contrast, which I really, really love, but it is starting to wear just a little bit because I wear it a lot. And then I've knitted it using a alpaca base, which I do like alpaca, but I'm so hard wearing that alpaca's not necessarily as good for me as mohair is. I find it a lot more robust and sturdy against my behaviours. The construction is a top-down construction. It has a little bit of yoke shaping at the top, and then you do actually have some German short rows, which is good. And then you go into raglan increases. The patterns recommends that you bind off before knitting the sleeve and the body. I don't know, it's just never really been something that I've wanted to explore or experiment with. I love like my previous version, so I wasn't willing to adjust and try it. I'm a bit more floaty over structure, even though I want structure in my garments to help make them last and keep the shape, but if I'm knitting something this floaty, I just wanted it to be really, really fluffy. And I knitted this one because I felt like this was the perfect pairing. It is definitely a scan and short haul. This is definitely a scan and short haul inspired jumper top, and it goes with my pink jelly cube, which I knitted using this leading lace and the same colour on a sweet flax base from Jess, which is like a linen and silk blend. It's really, really beautiful. And I tell you what, I went to see, I don't know how niche it is, but I went to see Electric Wizard recently, and I wore this with my like a black velvet skirt and my bright pink jelly cube, and in a sea of black I felt so extra because like almost no one was wearing anything other than black, but it just felt so right seeing Electric Wizard in, yeah, it was so good. They're such a great live band. They actually are one of the few bands that kind of stunned me. Like usually, you know, I can get overexcited and bouncy, or I can get quite emotional and tear, which I did a few times at the other bands that we saw. Nordic Giants were amazing, but I just kind of just stood in awe. Like there was a bit of dancing and a little bit of bopping, but it was mostly just like I couldn't believe that it was so good. Yeah, so I'm really happy with this. I don't think I did too many, if any, modifications outside of not doing the bind off and doing less increases. I'm just quite a little person, so I don't need it to be nearly as big. And yeah, super happy with it. And I love these colours, and Hannah is just a colour wizard. I love the way it's come out. Would knit it again happily. I have mentioned that I would quite like to knit it using heavier weight yarns, but at the moment we don't need to knit another one. Like, look how fun this is. First, I'll show you quickly this one. It has been a long-term project, and I've actually put it aside because I picked it up again and it was just so moreish, and I really want this to be a project that I do more when I'm playing D&D. But I also just really want to knit on it because I think at the moment I'm in like I've got all of these ideas buzzing around my head, and there's a few little things like blocking that, whether that's like just finally having a bit of time to gather my thoughts and come back. It's a bit overwhelming having so many ideas, but also it's quite nice to just embrace quiet and simple for a bit. And then there's some other thoughts I'm having about designing and stuff that I just, I don't know. So I've kind of been struck by the simplicity bug almost at the moment, just something comfortable, cozy, a little bit playful, but not in a way of technical skill, just playful in just choosing colours basically has been the thing, and letting dice rolls determine things. So this is my half and half, which for the first time in a long time I finished a row. The first half I finished quite some time ago. If you've been here for a while you might remember. This was yarn that my amazing friend Kelsey dyed, all natural, inspired by our characters in our D&D campaign. Fantasy trash, this is us, this is what fantasy trash looks like. And I did finish the whole first half fairly quickly, to be honest, and then I cast on all of the stitches for the second side because that's how I do it. If you are new, if you've not watched many knitting podcasts, most people seem to have knitted this at this point, but it is just a big square that you knit by casting on some stitches and then knitting short rows, meaning the rows just get shorter until you get to the very top, and then you've got one triangle, and then usually you'd go back, close all the short row stitches, and then increase up till you complete the square. However, I knit in such a way that I go back down and then back up, cast on all these stitches, and then knit back down. And I was, I believe, at the green, like a few rows into the green last time I shared this, and I mean this was just a few evenings and I managed to knit like 8 inches. My finger span is like 8 inches, which I think's nuts considering I'm so short. I always talk about how big my hands are, they're huge. And I could just have kept going, and I did put it down, and maybe I'll just let myself knit on it when I want, but it is so much fun, and I think I really love this section. I think it's really quite beautiful. Yeah. It really makes me think of cake, and I can't quite figure out why, but I think they are quite like cakey. And I said about those little fruit gems, like the little gems that used to diamond shaped like jelly gems, jelly fruits that you used to put on cakes way back when. But all of these yarns are quite special. I don't know that I should go into all of them because like this is the highlight of this project. Kelsey is such a skilled dyer, especially with natural dyes, and is also releasing her Chained Oblivion cardigan on the 30th of November, which is really soon. And I remember that I did not put in I didn't show you it on my body when I showed you it last time, so I'm going to quickly do that. But it's a beautiful piece, it's a beautiful cardigan. I had so much fun knitting it and wearing it, and it is one that I just keep putting on. It's oversized enough to go over everything, and while it doesn't have too much shape, I think because it's quite cropped, it sits nicely, and it's quite nice. It's quite nice. Yes, so this project is one that I am utilising dice rolls, a D6, and I've been rolling to figure out how many stripes of each of the colour that I've chosen I'm going to do. And I'm going to now I've picked the colours that I want to use, I'm going to try and use up all of these before using any other colours. I'm going to give each one of these a number and use a different dice. I think there was 12. I think a 12-sided dice is enough. So I'm going to roll a d12 to choose the colour, and then a d6 to choose how many rows. And if I remember correctly, on my green version that I knitted previously, I ended up switching to a d20, so a dice with 20 sides, when I got further along up towards the finishing, because I just think it looked nicer and I didn't want to have to change yarns quite so frequently. I am using the magic knot method, so all of these little ties can just be cut off when I'm finished. Mostly it's even, but there's a few rows where the colour's like gone for a few extra stitches, but I don't mind that at all. It doesn't bother me in the slightest. Yeah, I'm really enjoying it. I just kind of want cozy comfort everything at the moment, apparently. I do really want to, and I've actually chosen some yarns, want to cast on another shawl, and I was going to think of maybe doing this, but I haven't quite decided. So one of my friends comes round fairly frequently, not all the time, but fairly frequently, one of our best friends locally, and they aren't a knitter, they crochet, but their partner knits. Now, her partner's upset that her jumper doesn't get worn very much, but it was done very early on in her knitting, much like I did with Alex, and I think it's just a bit too oversized to be practical, so it doesn't get worn. But she comes around and she loves the half and half, the green one that I did, and I've got some colours that are slightly more her, but not too different. I thought it'd be fun to knit her one of these, but I don't want to take away from her partner knitting. So I'm torn, and then I don't know if I want to knit this again, or whether I do but just go up a few needle sizes and reduce the stitch count, or if I just do something else that to keep it interesting. But I'm still torn because I just don't know. I think she'd really, really appreciate it, but also don't want to take away from. So anyway, that's the thing that I'm thinking about doing. It's a really fun pattern, it's super simple, it's just, yeah, it's just a nice 4-ply project using up minis and things. Most of the minis are leftovers from projects or special ones that I was given when we did an advent swap. And then the main colour outside of the fantasy trash yarn is just a natural undyed that we had spun ourselves. So the one that I used up until a few rows back was Valet, and so a Valet Black Nose, super cute sheep, and Jacob. And then this is a Whiteface Woodland blend. Whiteface Woodland, 100%. And I really like the feel of this. This is toothy, but it's like soft and it's, yeah. Anyway, a super fun project that I am quite excited to knit on, and I have to do another public apology because I was so excited to play D&D on this week, like beyond. I sent messages to both of my groups the night before being like so excited to play, blah 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 blah. On the Thursday remembered that we were going to see our friend do a comedy night. So I woke up and had to apologise. I knew we were going, it just didn't correlate that it was. So that was sad. And then on Sunday we went to my friend's for an early roast dinner and then toddlers. So we didn't end up eating until super late compared to when we were going to, and I missed it. So very sad. But this week I think we're playing Thursday, which is really exciting. And then not this Sunday, but next Sunday we're playing, and I just want to roll some dice and play make-believe with my pals so badly. I've kind of overfilled this, but this lovely bag was made for me by Suze, who is actually the DM for our Thursday night game. I've really put loads of wool in this, and I've been carrying it around lately. And I'm so excited by this project. I definitely took inspiration, copied, mimicked the lovely Maggie of the Sunday Knitting podcast, who I highly recommend. She's just lovely, like just a really nice person. You get really good energy just watching, and all her projects are. So I pulled out lots of, this one's not my Handspun, that's the only one that's not, and I'm going to use this for edging. I'm going to put that to the side. We won't talk about that until we've used it. Ow. So I pulled out this Handspun in particular, and I was like, it's time to use some of it. It's time to knit a garment. I'm not ready to use my green spin that I did with Marina yet. And I found that I had some nice colours to go with it. This was a Ceiling McWheely 2 bats. I think it's mostly merino, and this is one that I made myself. It is Whiteface Woodland, a bit of Jacob, I think a bit of Gotland, something else in there. This was a Shetland 4-ply that was kindly sent to me, and this is a Welsh Mountain sheep that I did a chain ply on, so it's quite chaos. But there is this one that's attached. This is another one that's like Jacob, a bit of Gotland, a bit of silk, I believe, and then some of the leftovers from a rough terrain bat from Felview Fibres. This is a bit of everything. And I have mimicked lovely Maggie, and I'm, fingers crossed, hopefully going to finish my first Andrea Mowry project. This is the start of my traveller hoodie, which it looks a bit weird. I'll show you the texture because the traveller hoodie is a textured, very simple textured, bottom up, drop shoulder construction garment. It has a hoodie option, it has a crew neck option. I definitely want to do the hoodie. I should have enough fibre. I did do like a quick guesstimate, and I should be fine. And so far, the colours remind me, if you're a Critical Role nerd, the colours did kind of remind me of Ford and Jester, so the traveller hoodie kind of made sense. And again, I am using a 6-sided dice to figure out when I'm going to change colour. I did the once land where it's just knit rows, and I didn't like the way that, like, I changed on in the middle of some knit rows and I didn't like the way that looked. It felt too stark considering the rest kind of blends quite nicely. It looks like a Weasley jumper to me. But that here, it's just a little bit too stark, so I've been conscious of doing that when I'm rolling. But I'm really enjoying it. It's just knitting in the round, super simple texture, no thinking, has been really nice for my little brain. I added some short rows at the bottom because I wasn't sure if I'm going to want to do short rows at the top. We'll see. I think it's going to be so deep on me anyway that I'm not going to need it. Like at the top, I'm okay with the drop shoulder without too much shaping, and I wasn't sure that I would like it in this texture, so we'll see. But that's where I'm at so far. I've done some short row shaping that I've added to the back. I am currently knitting it in slightly the wrong order, where I am knitting the back first just because of the way the stitches landed, keeping it simple, and I'm now working on the back underarm up to the shoulder, and then I'll pick up stitches for the front and work that shaping. As you can see, she's going to be nice and oversized on me, and the texture does have lots of growth in the length, and I wanted it to be a little bit cropped. I don't want it to be like super short, but I definitely wanted it to be quite cropped because I knew it was going to be so oversized on me. So I think so far we've done good. I might actually give it a little steam, but when I did do a little swatch. It's very small, but it did come out to grow just I think a bit more than what Andrea notes in the pattern. But so far I've really enjoyed knitting it. There's been loads of information in the pattern. And yeah, really fun. I think also we'll see where I get to, and it might be that I spin some more yarn for it. I think I'm gonna add a pocket. I think I'm gonna add like a kangaroo pocket to it. We'll see. It might not be, because of the way it's cropped, it might not be right, but I think it will. So I think I'm going to do a pocket if we get there, and for that I will probably just knit it separately, do I-cords around the edge of the pockets, and then graft it on. Keep it really simple. But a really fun project, really nice to be knitting with my Handspun. My Handspun box is quite empty again, but we're working on that. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm complaining, but yeah. I will probably use this as my editing project today. To tell you what, my poor computer's struggling real bad. We have a little bit of spinning, and I made a bat using some alpaca, a little bit of scrap merino that came from a project that I did, and then some really beautiful sari silk that lovely Frida gave to me when we went to Norway, and I've spun it. It was, last time I showed it I had spun most of it, I think, nearly. and now I've plied it, and I'm so excited to use this yarn. I don't know what it should go into still, like, but I think it's come out gorgeous. All those little moments of colour, it's like celebration yarn. I refer to it as my Little Mister yarn because the orange was from my Little Mister, which is, it's the little bits of orange merino that I used with from, actually I don't know if it was merino, although it might have been just British wool, and I think it will be something a little bit magical and a bit whimsical that this goes into. Super pleased with it. I just did a 2-ply. I'm thinking I might try and make some, like, one more bobbin for my spinning wheel so that I can do a 3-ply with ease. I don't really love chain ply. I'm not sure about the idea of the Navajo method. I don't know, it just doesn't, and it might be because I've recently changed the gearing on my spinning wheel and I'm enjoying it a lot more, and I wonder if I tried chain plying again I would enjoy it even more. It's not that I don't like it, I think I've just got a tendency to put too much twist into it, but maybe it'll be different, I don't know, we'll see. But super cute little skein, really pleased with it, and I just want to knit and make and spin all the things at the moment, and yet here I am just doing simple knit and purl rows for days. I am also spinning some really gorgeous fibre from Cozy Posy Yarn Co, and Antonella sent me the most beautiful box of fibres and yarns, and I'll show you the yarns when I use them. But look at this fibre. This is a skinny braid of Targi, which I've never used before, and it's so nice to spin. Like I said, it was taking me ages to spin, and one, I hadn't changed the band that I'd been using in quite a while, so that didn't help, and I was using it on the slowest setting, which is fine, but I did like really not very much. I think I did about this much in length in the 2 hours Alex was practicing jumps. I was messing around doing other things at the same time, but that was about the length that I managed. I changed it with the help of Alex. I changed the band. He showed me the simple method of using a simple slip knot, and then you can do it quite tight on your own. I don't know why I hadn't thought of that. I was just doing a standard like surgeon's knot. Yeah, so I did that and then proceeded to do a great big length in one go in just like half an hour. And it's not because I want to spin fast, but the spinning felt better. It felt, you know, it was more reactive because obviously it was tighter, the drive band was tighter, but it felt more right, it felt more like the right speed for me. So that's exciting that my spinning will probably go up a little bit with not much change. There's one gear that's even faster, and I'm not sure that I'm gonna bother for a bit. We'll play with this, see how it feels, maybe finish this braid. So this is the second half. I've got the other half on the wheel, which I'll show you. and those colour changes. So I'm going to do a 2-ply with this. It's a very bouncy yarn, which is really lovely, but it's bouncy and lustrous, which is like really cool. So I'm hoping I'm going to get quite a bit of yardage because of the way I'm spinning this. I'm being fairly fine without trying to be fine. I'm kind of spinning how my instincts usually are. You know, I've been spinning a little bit. This is still fairly fine and consistent, but I've been a bit more like rugged and slubby with my spinning lately as a kind of a practice in not always needing it to be super fine. But when I saw this, like, yeah, we're going fine and as consistent as we can try and be. It's so beautiful. I do recommend having a little look on her website and some of the bases she sent, which I will share when I use them, and I've got plans for the project. I'm just not totally set on all of them yet. So I'm just waiting because there's a naturally dyed skein in particular, and I'm torn between if it should be a project for me or for Alex, and I think it should be for Alex, but we'll see. Speaking of Alex, he's been doing quite a bit of dyeing. I don't know if I shared it before, but this is the yarn that I am gonna use, and I just love the colour. I have to share it if I haven't already. This yarn was sent as a advent swap that we did. Well, I sent lovely Nicole of the Time Weaver podcast a cardigan and a few other bits, and she very kindly sent me a whole advent, and there was a quite a big hank of yarn that I'm not sure what it is still, but she bought it by the weight rather than by the length or skein, which is really cool. And it was just an off-white cream colour, and Alex turned it into this elven hobbit woodland dream, and he was like, oh, I think it's a little bit too bright for me, and I was like, I think it's perfect for me. So I am going to use this, and very excited. But he's been doing some dyeing, and it's been quite inspiring to watch him play with colour. Yeah, we've got, hopefully coming up, we'll talk about going to Comic-Con and seeing Critical Role in London and the projects that kind of came from that. Time's been a bit of a weird soup lately, and life is life, so we haven't come together to chat about it yet. I've got some, like I said, I'm still working on projects. I'm quite excited about knitting. I want to do some slightly more interesting knitting coming up, like just not all simple back and forth knit and purl projects. Yeah, I hope you're good. I hope that this wasn't too weird, and yeah, look after yourselves, cherish your loved ones, like bring yourself some grounding in the chaos that is the world right now. I love you, and I hope to see you again very soon.